kind of why I kind of evolved along these lines of asking these deeper questions. And I've always asked them, one of those kids that, wanted to know why Judas was condemned, why he had to, kiss Christ. And in that moment, and why, if there was a hell, how could he be condemned if he was like instrumental in the whole, crucifixion and all of that, you know what I mean? Like, and nobody could ever answer the question, it's like I always go to God and I'm like, well, how do I do that? You know what I'm saying? Give me the number and I'll call him. You know what I'm saying? And nobody could answer that. And that's the, that growing question of free will, that I hear that it brings everybody to this level of thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is free will if these things are the truth, that was baked into the culture, and the mindset and the way that we were taught and brought up, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to keep on going on, but yeah, that's a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. That's a powerful question, right? That I don't know if people are scared to ask or don't come to that point, but think about it. Why is Judas condemned to hell if that's what he was supposed to do? Jesus wouldn't be crucified if it wasn't for that moment. He wouldn't be crucified. He wouldn't have been able to die for your sins if Judas wasn't there.
Yes, that's like the antithesis. I can't say that word. The opposite that needed to be there. You know what I'm saying? Because every story has to have a villain and a hero.
Right.
But why is the villain? Why is he vilified if his role is instrumental in the hero becoming the hero? You know what I mean? I don't understand that. You know what I mean? But that's built into every story. That's built into every story that is told in this reality that we're experiencing. And that makes me wonder: is that a program? Like, is that something that is like baked into the fabric of what we are and our being? That story, like, that's a ceiling. You know what I'm saying? And like, nobody thinks past that or breaks that ceiling, or I won't say nobody, because I'm obviously amongst people that are trying to break that ceiling, which is so refreshing, I might add. But because I can't get a conversation where I'm at with anybody, man. I mean, you can just see people cut off when anything is brought up. So I just stopped bringing it up and, kind of keep to myself in these things. But and I think that's why I'm ranting, because this is the first time I'm able to kind of get this stuff off my chest and get a true perspective, not an answer, but just somebody looking at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
And when y'all just said that, I'm like, damn, basically Judas helped Jesus reach moksha. That's crazy.
And I mean, when you just ask that simple question, there's so many things that come along with that. That means that if Christ was who he was, he knew that was going to happen the whole time.
Yep. That's 100% true, man. I'm telling you, I didn't ran this scenario in my brain. I can't even tell you how many times, It's like, if this is God, all of these things was preordained. Judas should be the right-hand man to God in the kingdom, if that's the case, because it's almost like he was like the catalyst. I mean, we talk about cause and effect in Samkhya, we talk about cause and effect, but you can't have an effect without a cause, and the cause don't start without something triggering it, the catalyst, you know what I mean? And so he was the catalyst to all of these things that so many people believe in, that they just drill in your brain. It's like, if you don't go to these things and you don't learn these things, you're kind of vilified in our culture, you know what I'm saying? And when you look at them a little bit deeper, man, they pose some questions that people just don't ask. You know what I'm saying? It's insane to me.
And that only starts an avalanche rabbit hole of all kinds of other questions.
Yeah, I guess that's my story of how I evolved out of those mindsets and into a greater perspective. Because I mean, I'm realizing in my, in I guess my studies and my looking at trying to look at things deeper, not just staying so surface. But what I'm realizing is, even doing those things that I'm talking about, is just a matter of perspective. That's really all there is. And I think that's the whole point, is just to be able to look at the thing that's being put in front of you and decide whether you like it or not.
Or even to get beyond the point of liking it or not.
And just look at it.
Non-attachment.
There you go, right there. I can dig it.
But I think that wheel that you mentioned is a very important concept, because within that wheel, again, is every possible experience that could be experienced. And it's been detailed, documented, and broken down. Shango says, like a mechanic is able to take an engine and completely disassemble it and lay all the parts out on the table, put it back together, and it works. Samkhya has done this with not only the mind, but also the experience of objective reality. And we find that there is an organ that hears, and there's also an organ that makes sound. And those two things connect, but they're not happening the way we think that they are. But we get attached to this illusion. We get attached to these experiences. Our whole reality is a combination of smells, sights, tastes, touches, and what's the other one? Smell, sight, taste, touch, sound. There's 5 of them. Our whole reality is composed of those 5 things and our opinions of them. We make this whole elaborate world a map. NLP tells us the map is not the territory. And that's what that means. We have this simulation that we go off of, but that's not what the real thing is. That's just our simulation. And simulation might work, but it's not the real thing. We're literally out here groping in the dark, blindly.
Do you think that extends beyond different states of consciousness? Do you think that may extend into the physical reality and how we view, our surroundings and things like that? And I guess the way that we judge the things that we come in contact with on the outside on the outside. You know what I mean? Like, there's theories out there of things, but no fact. But the world goes off of those theories as if they're fact. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And you can't tell anybody that well, they're just guessing. These are educated guesses. Nobody knows these things. You know what I'm saying? So I was wondering if those things are the same on that side of the veil as they are on this side of the veil. And you know what I'm saying? Am I asking that right?
Yeah, I have an understanding of what you're saying. I mean, the misconception, the territory aspect, that's all about the physical realm, right? We don't know what's going on. We literally don't have those 5 senses to give us a map. As far as the subjective realm, there are still veils, and it's those veils that cause us to have the misconceptions that we have. The veils are a little bit more explored in the Taught with Shruti book. You'll notice it has that same map as Samkhya, but it goes a little bit further. I don't remember the name of the particular school of thought, but the Samkhya that's covered in this book stops at Purusha and Prakriti. And then there's actually a level a little bit more that talks about the different veils on the subjective realm that pretty much blind the soul from its immortal state. Specifically, this map here on page 45, right? At the bottom where it says microcosmos, that's what Samkhya covers, right? And you'll see that on the cover of the book.
Yeah. I see Purusha and Prakriti, right? Yeah, gotcha.
Objective reality. But there's another set of veils in the subjective realm, and that's where we're dealing with Maya. You see in the center?
Yeah.
Greetings, June. What's good, bro? And it's that veil of Maya that separates us from the reality of immortality, of eternal existence. Because
okay.
As you can see right underneath that veil, now we've got microcosmos. That wouldn't be the case if it wasn't for the veil of Maya.
Do you think that there are bodies to those experiences? I mean, I know you can get to them and different states of consciousness, but ultimately you come back to this waking state of consciousness. I mean, it takes mad concentration to get there, to those levels of consciousness. Those people, and people, go through years of doing the same thing over and over and over again, and then they'll achieve it. Do you think that once we leave these physical vessels, that those levels of consciousness have physical vessels to inhabit, so that your waking state of consciousness is that right there, and then you springboard from there on up, and it's easier to reach those higher states, and then the cycle continues? Or how does that work in your mind?
So as far as what I've experienced, what I'm studying, it looks as if all of form is contained within Prakriti. So any instance of form is contained within that microcosm. Beyond that, there isn't really much instance of form. But there are varying degrees of consciousness. But it looks like form is limited to Prakriti herself.
Okay. So consciousness doesn't need a form to experience the things that's on the outside of consciousness. And it goes beyond Prakriti. So
consciousness is formless.